for behavior change as well as for policy reform and legislative reform. And I'll be sharing some of those ideas as we move along. And really to be able to share your story, to tell your stories. Remember, we belong to the sector. You know, we are not foreign to the sector. We are not external. We are part of the sector. So we are, in a sense, also evaluating our own work and discovering how that work can be done better. So those are the objectives. I don't need to go to that, but just to say that we were interested in identifying the key threads and to tell your stories. So what are the key threads that are coming out? And of course, that means then that we have to listen to you very carefully so that we can see the pattern. Otherwise, we will just tell a story that everybody else can tell. So we had to listen to you very, very carefully to see where there is a pattern that is evolving. And I also just want to say that when you are telling the story from the creative sector, it's very difficult to do so. You see, if I ask you to describe the pain that you are feeling, only you knows that, only you who has experienced that pain knows how it is. Words cannot describe the pain that you have. Emotions, if you ask, so you ask me, so how angry are you? I cannot describe that anger sufficiently for you to understand how I'm feeling inside. You have to experience a piece of work to know what it is doing to me inside. You have to experience it for you to be able to know what it means. Before you experience it, no words can explain it, you know. And in fact, you talk with many people, they say, I'm just feeling happy. How do you explain happiness? It's impossible, you know. Or when I listen to this type of music, it makes me feel good. So no words can explain that. So we can talk about approximation. We can approximate the feeling that we get from the creative experience. Just approximating it, but we can never really get it. You see, if you are in construction, from an open space, you can put up a building, and you start seeing the building. So the place has changed, isn't it? On account of the structure. It was vacant, now it has a building. But with creative works, you cannot say that you have created something that is visible, because things happen inside. So we'll be sharing a little bit of that. So what inspired us in this project? And I must say that the first inspiration must, of course, be the Constitution of Kenya. That is where we must always go. What are those things in the Constitution that make it possible for us to say, aha, we can do this? Because there are certain constitutional guarantees, you know, which facilitate that process. So the Constitution underscores artistic freedom, and I like insisting here that there are not many constitutions in the world that protect artistic freedom. Many constitutions protect freedom of expression and freedom of the media. Hardly any protect artistic freedom. Our Constitution protects artistic freedom alongside freedom, scientific freedom, as well as academic freedom. So this is a very important landmark position and a very, very good point of inspiration. The other inspiration is that we do have public institutions. I don't like calling them state institutions. I like calling them public institutions. The Kenya National Commission for Human Rights, IPOA, NCIC, the Commission for Administrative Justice, IEBC, the National Gender and Equality Commission, EACC. All these commissions are our institutions. They do not belong to the state. They belong to the public of Kenya. And they should be a basis for inspiration for our work. So that when you do like Commission for Administrative Justice, that responsibility of that commission really is to guarantee access to information. So that commission is the custodian of access to information by the Kenyan people. So if you want information and you can't get it, that is the commission you go to give you information. Or if you are being denied the right to share information, and yet that right is guaranteed, that's the commission you put to task with. And of course, the fact that civic space is constantly jeopardized, that there are inequalities all over the country, there are inequalities with relations to power, there is the challenge of patriarchy, which our colleague from Marsabit talked about this morning. She talked about the challenge of patriarchy, that we must deconstruct patriarchy to be able to do things. The whole question of the political and social and cultural practices that require interrogation, that require questioning. You see, we have to ask questions about our political, social, and cultural direction. The issues of terrorism, countering violent extremism, radicalization, and extrajudicial killings. The fact that in Mathare, Dandora, and other places, and parts of Mombasa, our young people are being killed every day. These are sources of inspiration for the work that we do. You see, you have to locate the inspiration. It cannot just be internal. It's also external. The external environment in which we exist inspires us to do the work we do and should also inspire you in the work that you do. The issues of climate change and sustainable environment. How do we deal with, the challenges of climate change? As artists, as creatives, how can we tell the stories of sustainable and inclusive development? How can we do that? So these are critical points of inspiration. So how did we undertake our work? You see, let me start by saying that just as we were about to start our work, COVID ikaingia area. Okay? COVID ikafanya nini? Ikaingia area. So we thought, this thing is going to end in a month or two, and we'll be able to start. And then it basically continued and continued. But work had to be done. So the first thing was to read literature around, who are these Wajibu Wetu partners? What are they doing? What are the areas of engagement? What does it mean? How does change happen in the world? From the creative lens and so forth and so on. What are the important ways in which our work as artists changes society? So we did quite a bit of literature. So we reviewed existing books and materials, and so we read quite a bit. And then, of course, we started now developing certain things that we could actually use to reach the partners. So we developed tools, interview tools, and so on. And then we started collecting information. So we collected information from Wajibu Wetu partners, very many of them, Virtually over 90% of the Wajibu Wetu partners we were able to talk with. We talked with them on phone, we organized online meetings, we did all sorts of things. Then we also organized a couple of meetings, online discussions with the duty bearers from the Department Ministry of Culture and so on. We also had meetings and discussions with development partners. And more specifically, I would like to mention here that we had a very, very productive discussion with Open Society of East Africa, of course with Forum Civ and others, to try and understand why they do not fund the creative sector, why they fund the creative sector, what they would like to see the creative sector doing if they are committed to social change. So we did quite a bit of that. Then we organized focus group discussions, and of course, we collected our data mainly through phone as well as online meetings. But I must also say that in certain cases, we did actually visit places. Yeah, we did actually visit places. Okay. So, I think so far so good. Sawa. Let me at this point just say that personally, I must say that I'm absolutely overwhelmed and impressed by the creative sector in Kenya. The sector continues to push boundaries, even when the environment itself is very, very difficult. The sector continues asking the tough questions the sector has now become virtually indispensable in the national psyche of Kenya. There is no institution in this country that can function without the creative sector. So we are not claiming relevance anymore. We are relevant. Okay? We are relevant. This is known by government institutions. This is known by public institutions. This is known by by development partners. It's known by the private sector, by advertisers. All these people know that they cannot succeed without the creative sector. So, if that knowledge is common, what does that mean for us? If they already have that information, it means that we can inscribe ourselves properly in the social and economic and political transformation of our country, because already we have been made indispensable. So we just need to claim that space now and to have the correct content and messages. So what we found is that many of our colleagues in Wajibu Wetu are doing things that are relevant, to the goals and the mandate of Wajibu Wetu program itself. So they are relevant. So the project themselves are actually relevant, because we didn't find anybody who is not doing what the Wajibu Wetu program stands for. And so they are working in the areas of democracy, they're working in the areas of gender, they're working in the areas of countering violent extremism, and they are working in the areas of human rights. And what are they doing? So they are using participatory theater to address issues of countering violent extremism. I just want to make a comment about this, that indeed, when you're working with countering violent extremism, it is so sensitive that you must use creativity to address some of those issues. You cannot use the mainstream approaches of engagement. You must be able to use arts and culture and media to be able to engage that. And therefore, participatory theater is one of the ways in which the sector is utilizing, is addressing issues of CVE. Songs and dance and against harmful cultural practices. Again, we saw that in a number of places in the Rift Valley and northeastern Kenya. We saw a little bit of that. We saw that in Baringo, and we saw that in northeastern Kenya. And of course, there's also quite a bit of that in Kisumu when one is dealing with issues of widowhood. And and of course, let me also mention that if you don't see your institution mentioned, it does not mean that we didn't recognize the work you're doing. It's just that we are just exemplifying. We're just sharing a couple of examples. So performing arts generally in whichever form, Kisumu Progressive Youth using performing arts for civic engagement and confidence building. Let me say that one of the ways in which you bring about change in society is that you must give people the confidence to be able to deal with the problems that they face. You build trust and you build confidence. Yani kujiamini. Kama watu hawezi kujiamini, hawezi kuleta mabadiliko. Lazima wajiamini kwanza. Waamini kwamba they have the power. Because our people need that belief, self-belief, kujiamini. Kwamba ijapokuwa hali yangu ni ngumu, ninaweza kubadilisha mambo. So that's very important. And actually, under theater, we do that. I mean, we are able to give people confidence. And I'm sure that many of you were frightened first day on stage. Ile stage fright, sindio? Mtu huwa anaogopa, sio? It's the same thing with community engagement. People are afraid of engaging the state. But through theater, you can actually give them the confidence that it is possible to do it. And inspiring rights holders to make demands. on rights. And I think, again, and under Power 254, it's again inspiration, building inspiration. And of course, we saw quite a bit of that with visual and performing arts, mainly through the Go Down Arts Center, who we also interviewed, and how they dealt with climate change in Nainihu, in one of the Wajibwetu, projects. So you can see that we have a wide range of engagements that are relevant to the social transformation of our country. And that's how you measure impact. Are they relevant? Are they relevant? Are they addressing the questions that we need? And of course, when you go to the utilization of short formats, the use of community radio, the use of photography, and so on, and the Nest Collective and their audio-visual content online, which is cutting edge on LGBTQI, themes, which are very, very important to deal with. Because you can deny the existence of a community, but that denial does not erase the existence of that community. Tunaelewana? You can deny its existence, but the denial does not erase the existence of that community. So you have to deal with it. You have a community that is excluded, that's marginalized, that is stereotyped, that does all sorts of things. How do we, as a country, start discussing, these rights of Kenyans, And you can say we can beat them to submission. You can never beat a community to total submission. Watatokeza tu, au namna gani? Yeah, you have to accept. The first thing to solve a problem is to accept its existence. And we are not saying that LGBTQI is a problem. No, we are saying it's a reality. And being a reality, they have rights, they have whatever. So the Nest Collective and others are doing very interesting work with articulation of those rights, which are also granted in the Constitution. And of course, Buni Media, and we saw yesterday in Dr. Wandia's presentation, the work of satire, the amount of work that goes in through scripting, through production, and so on. And again, holding duty bearers to account through satirical presentation of leadership that has gone haywire. So knowledge sharing through edutainment, such as in the case of Wajir Community Radio, and I'm glad that they're here. Nurturing creativity, ASMO in Madare are doing that. And of course, agenda setting through African Censored, John Allan Namu, again with whom we were able to engage. Let me say this, that with regard to social change, you can never solve a problem until you get communities to start seeing that issue as a problem. You see, the process of awareness creation and the process of knowledge sharing is a process of social transformation, because you are helping people to start seeing an issue as a problem and to think about that problem and how to solve it. Sometimes people say that when we do awareness creation and when we give knowledge, we are not changing society. We are changing society because we are giving knowledge that is a requirement for communities to start seeing the possible solutions to that problem. You can never solve a problem that has not been raised to the level of consciousness. You solve problems after you have risen them to the level of awareness, of consciousness, of reflection. That is the beginning of solving the problem. So long as communities are in denial, so long as they have not started thinking about the issues around them as a problem, they will never be able to solve those problems. So our work within the creative sector is to be relevant to those problems, to give knowledge, and to raise those issues to the level of consciousness. Okay. Of course, virtually everybody is doing capacity building. So we are building capacity through mentorship, through knowledge, through all sorts of things. Akira Chicks are doing stuff. Siasa Place are doing stuff in Kericho. Our colleagues in Kisumu are doing things. So capacity building across the board is taking place. And we are building, resilience within our communities. Again, as we saw within the pastoralist integrated support system, support group, the working with girls. Working with girls on girls' empowerment, very, very important. And an ability for them to say no, ability for them to articulate their rights, and safer houses for them, and so on. Very, very important. So, and also building community partnerships, so that the community should be the first point of defense for human rights defenders. The community should be the first place that you go when you are in trouble. It should be the first place that protects you. And that cannot happen if whatever you do is dislocated from the community in which you work. So, the community should be able to document and to report the violations happening in that community. So Inform Action we're doing that as far as we are concerned. I think they were doing quite a bit of that in Nyeri, and I saw that also in other places. So very, very important for communities to be part of the solution. They should be the ones that will protect you. They should protect the artist when the artist is in trouble. Okay. So performing arts against radicalization of women. We saw quite a bit of that. How do you use theater to minimize, radicalization of women at the coast? You see, in our various research, we have found that quite often we don't pay sufficient attention to women encountering violent extremism. Women are part of the solution to countering violent extremism. They are the mothers. They are the sisters, They are the lovers. They are the ones who understand, who suffer most when their children are taken away, and so on. So they are part of the solution, and I think that we have to target them specifically. And performing arts, whether it's in the form of music, whether it's in the form of theater, and so on, can be really, really critical. And I also want to mention here about the economic empowerment of women, which again comes through Akilidada, the HIVA Fund, and the grants that are given to small enterprises, and especially women-led enterprises. And to say that one of the strategies, and I have not seen this argument being advanced by the creative sector. At least I didn't come across it, but I think it's an important argument which we need to start putting out there. That the investment that the state puts on countering violent extremism is too high compared to the investment that the state puts in for social and economic transformation of those areas that are the hotspots or the most risky areas for violent extremism. There is an imbalance in the economic investment and the social investment in those areas compared to the amount of security that is put in those areas. I think it's time to reverse that trend. Invest more in industries, invest more in jobs, invest more in opportunities for young men and young women in those areas, and the problem will start getting solved. But so long as the relationship is skewed, and I think that we will still continue having the challenge. So I would like to encourage, as we're going forward, for us to start asking what is the economic and social input by the state in those areas at the coast, in those areas in northeastern Kenya, in those areas which are most risky for violent extremism, compared to, the state security apparatus. And of course, there is the monitoring and reviewing of interventions under the Universal Peer Review project across the country, because this is a national project. Okay, so one of the ways in which you know that people are doing the right thing is to ask the question, how are they involving the people that they are serving, the so-called beneficiaries? So do you involve the beneficiaries in the formulation of your projects? Do they participate in your project, or is it a unidirectional relationship? Do you pretend that you are the only one with the knowledge and that your communities do not have any input? And when we ask that question, we realize that actually our partners, the Wajibu Wetu partners, our colleagues, are not only conscious of their mission and vision, so that the projects themselves fit within their overall goal, but they are also reaching out to the beneficiaries of their projects. So it's almost like they are co-creating. They co-create these projects together. So, and of course, so there is the first of all, the recognition of advancing their mission, the idea of supporting national efforts. So in some cases, it's like, okay, so what is our role as the creative sector? Can we support national efforts as well as county efforts? Can we support implementation of gender, and of course, can we also address issues of apathy and youth in leadership? So these are the motivation. This is motivation for the work. And of course, the idea of utilization of creative arts for consciousness raising. For those of you who are students of revolutions in South America, you know that those are normally preceded by consciousness raising. It's not something that just happens just like that. You have to raise the consciousness of people. And of course, in some cases, it's pursuing good governance and building platforms that the youth can use. So again, just to conclude this section, is to say that the motivation of implementing partners is embedded. It's found in their internal structures as well as the external structures and what they consider to be very, very important. In some cases, it's the rise in human rights violations and impunity. The fact that across the country there is impunity and that you get motivated to do something about that. Or the fact that we want to expand, economic and leadership opportunities for women and so on. So Akira Chicks, training women to work online and giving them entrepreneurship skills. I want to say that with regard to human rights, I've used a very difficult word here. Lakini, it's just a very simple word. It just means that human rights are everywhere, or should be seen everywhere. They are transversal. They cut across all domains of life. They cut across economic empowerment, social well-being, security, our dignity. They are transversal. Yani inavuka kila mahali. So human rights ought to be seen everywhere in our lives. And once you take that view, once you know that human rights are transversal, then it is possible to say that we have a responsibility of working within the human rights lens, because human rights is transversal. Hatuwezi kusema human rights ati ni ya women's rights peke yake. No, they are transversal. They have rights of people with disabilities, women, elders, all sorts of groups of people. Okay. So strategies that you are using, I just want to spend exactly 1 minute on this one to say that all of you are using both creative approaches as well as conventional approaches. Creative approaches, that is, those approaches that are to be found with the activation of the imagination. So that could be in the form of visual arts, could be in the form of performing arts, could be in the form of media and all sorts of things, but also using conventional tools in the form of capacity development and other things that we have always been doing, which are not necessarily very, very creative. But all of you are using this in an integrated manner. Let me just say that the strategies that you use, the tools that you use, ought to be the ones that are determined by your target group. So first of all, you have to ask the question, who am I targeting? Once you know who you are targeting, you ask yourself, where are they? Are they in entertainment, or are they in the classroom, or where are they? And then you work like that. So just to say that the integration is complete. And it seems to us that you are, in a sense, contributing towards increased access to justice by women. At least that's what we were told. We were told, because we also interviewed not just the partners themselves, but also the beneficiaries, people who have benefited from your work. And they told us, nowadays, this is how we are feeling. Because as I said, the arts are not like construction. You have to be able to say, people will tell you, I'm feeling more confident. I feel more aware of my rights, and I'm able to speak out. I'm able to answer the question when it's asked of me. So there is that issue of more access to justice by women, increased self-enrollment of men. So more and more men are becoming feminists. And let me also say here that there's nothing wrong with being called a feminist. There's nothing wrong. I heard this morning people say, what on an interfeminist? There's nothing wrong. I think that these names have been given bad definitions by other people who don't want change. So there's nothing wrong with being a feminist. So there is that awareness. And of course, improvement of documentation and responding to violations. I think that more and more people are reporting violations, and we see that all the time in the media, and this is really good. The creation of safe spaces so that people know where to go to, like shelters and so on. You see, the worst thing you can ever do is you train people to resist, and then when they are in trouble, they don't know where to go. It's very important for us to help people know where to go. So I'm very excited about the social justice centers in Dandora, in Mathare, in Githurai, in Kisumu. This is very encouraging because it basically means that our people will know where to go, And of course, when it comes to gender-based violence, we also need shelters. We need spaces. And of course, with your programming, we saw a little bit of that happening. And the emergence of engaged civic culture. Power 254 works with active citizenship. And of course, and I think many of us work with that. So the question then is, are we able to increase the number of people that are engaged? Okay. Now, the cross-cutting issue I would like to mention here is the need to constantly encourage social and economic accountability. And that happens when we build systems that require our leaders to be accountable. Siasa Place with their scorecard in Kericho is a good example of such a platform that's being used. And I think that we need to be able to say, okay, so this is the progress that's being made, this is the scorecard, this is what we are, this is what our leaders are doing, you know, and so on. Okay. With regard to, I mean, we're calling this term efficiency, because one of the ways of using your resources efficiently is to work with the beneficiaries of your interventions. So we were interested in knowing, is there ownership of these, you know, of these interventions? And we realized that in many cases, many of you actually involve your beneficiaries from the beginning of the design of your projects. Not in all cases, but at least in some of the cases. And that sometimes you are able to work within the existing structures, you know, so that even when the budget is very small, you are able to use the structures that already exist. And that's efficient. So the efficient use of available resources. And just to say that, yes, quickly, you're having an impact, you're building confidence, people are able to report on cases, there are changes in perceptions, not absolute, but it's happening according to, of course, the testimonies that we got. There is mentorship initiatives, and so on. So the impact can be felt through the testimonies, the grantees' testimonies themselves, the beneficiaries' testimonies themselves. We cannot measure that. We cannot measure that X number of people say they are feeling confident, unless we decide that that is how we are going to do that. Remember, we were not evaluating. We were telling the story of the common thread that's emerging. So what are we learning? Oh, okay, before what are we learning, sustainability. I think that this is a question that constantly is asked. Is this project sustainable? Are our activities sustainable? I want to discuss sustainability at 3 levels. The first level really is the level of the individual. If you give me knowledge, and I can use that knowledge going forward, then your project is sustainable because it lives in me. I have internalized it. I'm able to continue. So KGZ is able to continue quoting the Constitution. That shows impact. Because the Constitution is inside. He'll tell you chapter 6, leadership and integrity. He'll tell you Bill of Rights and so on. He'll tell you Article 10, principles. You know, so the Constitution lives inside. And when it is inside, it means it's sustainable. So long as he's alive, he will articulate that position. So sustainability is not about resources alone. It's about what the impact that individuals have. And so long as they are saying that they have acquired knowledge, then it is sustainable. At the institutional level, the institutions have signed certain commitments with government, with public institutions for continued work, and so on. And in the case of Kisumu, for example, where you have, partners working with the county leadership to change legislation and to change ideas and so on. It suggests a certain level of legitimacy, that these institutions are legitimate and are able to engage with government with respect. And that is a sustainable position to have. The e-content longevity, the fact that the content we are creating is alive, online. Even when you are not in town, that content will still be there. Therefore, it is actually sustainable because it's not going to be erased. The internet does not forget. The internet will always be there. So there is that element of sustainable, content creation. The fact that we have rescue centers, we have institutions are gaining internal operational and technical capacities by working with Forum Civ. So Forum Civ is training you to become more efficient, to become better managers of resources, better managers of project implementation, and so on. And of course, at the community level, to the extent that we are working with our communities, even when we exit, the communities will continue doing the work. Therefore, it's sustainable. So I think that there is always a problem in the ways in which we define sustainability. But I think that once you isolate it into individual sustainability, community sustainability, institutional sustainability, then you start seeing that actually our interventions are likely to outlive the project itself. They are likely to continue even if the project comes to an end, because the project will live in us, in the community, as well as in our institution. Okay. So what are we learning? So we are learning a number of things. You see, the arts, as Dr. Wandia Njoya said yesterday, are the voice of the silent ones, the voice of the environment, the voice of the ancestors, the voice of our communities, and so on. That's what she told us yesterday. It is true. She also said that the arts are able to make us angry, to feel pain, to feel sorrow, to mourn, to cry, and so on. You see, the arts affect our cognitive. Cognition is about knowledge. It's about the brain. It's about what we can carry in our mind. Okay? That's cognition. It's about knowledge. So they give us knowledge, but they also touch our heart. So they are able to touch both spaces. If you read a history book or a chemistry book, you are only affected at the cognitive level, not at the emotional, affective level. Your heart is not touched, but your knowledge is enriched. The arts give us both. So that's what we are learning. And therefore, we are learning that we must target both domains. We must give knowledge, but we must also touch the feelings of our people. That we must also build, emotional connections. That we must appreciate that behavior change is a continuum. You see, it's not something that you do like today you've taught me and tomorrow I have changed. No, it's a continuous process. You create awareness, you increase knowledge. I start seeing how to behave. I see people in my neighborhood who are behaving differently from me. I learn from them. You model behavior. You do all sorts of things. Then you change the environment. So it's both individual as well as structural. So we are learning these things. We are learning that we have to create awareness, that we create, contemplation, thinking about the problems, and we explore practices and solutions. And that we must have many approaches to do this. And of course, Kenya is a very youthful nation. The more youth get involved, the better for all of us. What are we learning? We are learning about women empowerment, And I think that alternative media for women, we have to ask the question, where are the women? Given insecurity, women are not able to access public spaces, like theaters and so on. They cannot attend to places at night. So where are they? They are on radio, so we invest in radio. They are in other places, alternative media, we invest in that. They are in churches, they are in school, so we invest in those spaces. We are learning that the county governments have a function, because culture, arts are part of the responsibility of the county governments, and that they need to create spaces for us. Okay. We are also learning that arts, culture, and media can be mobilized to increase political will. Remember what Abubakar Zain said: you must ask the presidential candidates what they have in stock for the arts. I'll give you one example. So the Social Development Fund, which is supposed to support arts and culture as a fund, does not support arts and culture directly. They support sports and universal health care. The reason is very, very simple. That in the legislation establishing the Social Development Fund, the creative sector is supposed to apply for money through ministries. So, if you want money from the Social Development Fund, you apply through KFCB, Kenya Film Classification Board. You apply through the Department of Culture, or you apply through the Kenya Film Commission. Now, those boards, those institutions are also applying for the same grant. Do you think they'll sponsor you? Will they support your application? They will not. So what we have done and what we are doing now is to try and have that bill, that act, reviewed, so that artists can apply directly and get the fund, or have a separate fund that is specific for the sector. Because the way it is structured, sports people can get funds as individuals, but you can never. You're supposed to apply through Ezekiel Mutua. There's no way Ezekiel Mutua will support your application. Okay? So we have to build political will. So the other point that we are also learning is that the tools that we use, the strategies that we use, must be appropriate always to the audience that we are targeting. So you're targeting younger people, use the tools that younger people relate to. Now, attention span has really gone down, so we must go in the direction of short formats, TikTok, and so forth and so on. So how are we using TikTok and those other formats? Okay. I think that I have mentioned these, and community involvement really as a sine qua non, as a necessary condition for the success of our approaches. Effects of COVID-19. COVID-19 is not going anywhere. We will need to discover how to work with it. So we need to be able to adapt. Because after COVID-19, something else will pop up. Isn't it? So we have to discover this. So very quickly on a number of recommendations that conclude our report is that we must explore opportunities for sectors' continued learning from best practices. So we ought to continually learn, always. Kabla hujafa hujaumbwa. Tunaelewana? Kabla hujafa hujafanya nini? You should never assume kwamba umekamilika. Never. We are always learning. We have to have an inquisitive mind, always learning new things. And therefore, we should create those opportunities for continued learning. We must strengthen linkages and build broad-based partnerships and networks. One of the things that kind of disturbs me is that somehow we are unable to build strong, lasting, networks. Our networks are very weak. And yet it is only through networks that we can actually have impact. Human rights defenders within the human rights sector are not looking at how the creative sector is working. The creative sector is not working to reach out also to mainstream civil society organizations. I mean, we must build these networks. Because as we said, kabla hujafa hujafanya nini? Hujaumbwa. So we have to keep learning. We have to keep reaching out to other people. And now with East Africa, we must also reach out to Tanzania and Uganda. And we must also diversify the formats that we use. Okay, I think, yes, our partners, the people who make it possible for us to work. Let me just say this, that development partners support work that sectors are doing. They come to add value to work that is being done already. And therefore, I think that the way we design our programs should be, we should design programs in a manner that dialogue is central. that our development partners are talking with the implementers to see how they can build a common ground. Wewe, kama msanii, how can you support the agenda of the development partner, and how can they support you? It's a dialogue. It should never be a manipulative process. It should be based on dialogue. And I think that we have seen a lot of that, at least with regard to Forum CIV. There is a lot of dialogue and comradeship between the officers and the grantees. I also really, really hope that the creative sector can be supported directly and continually, so that we are not seen to be, that the work we do supports, other institutions. We do support the other institutions. We support the Kenya National Human Rights Commission. We support, other institutions that are mainstream. But actually, we also do require to be supported directly so that we can thrive. So this direct support to the creative sector is really, really important. Investment in institutional development, I think that we do require to, of course, continually get support so that our institutions are developed, and that this is just not a one-off, but really a continuous process. And I think that institutions are ready to learn and to be supported to do so. What do we need to do ourselves? Simple, because we are working in the sector. Trusted communication is part of this. So actually we are speaking to ourselves. We need to work downstream, that is, working with the communities, but we also have to work upstream, working with policymakers and leadership. That's how you bring about change. You do not bring about change by only working downstream. You can work downstream, but if the infrastructure is not supportive, then it's very, very difficult. You must increase accountability at the top, even as you do stuff in the community. It is upstream and downstream, always. We are doing that already, but I think that we are working mainly downstream. We are working with our communities. We need to do more advocacy work. We need to shift things. We need more and more younger people who are conscious, taking up leadership positions in this country. And my advice always is, you see, you cannot tell someone that was not part of your network to serve you because they do not have any loyalties. Just because he's young, it does not necessarily mean that he will serve you, just because he's young. Age is not a sufficient condition. Are we clear on this? We have a lot of young people who are up there who are terrible. But we must grow consciously, young people. And I think that the first place to begin is at the ward level. So the more conscious young people at the ward level who are demanding accountability at the counties, the better it will be for this country. Starting at the county level and then going upwards. So that level of engagement, really, really important. Evidence-based programming, so we need to continually do needs assessment before we start our programs. We need to ensure that we are able to say that our projects are inspired by events in the community. They are not just projects that exist in our heads. And we must also always allow learning from our cultures. I think it's important to do that. But of course, culture itself is dynamic. Certain aspects of culture undermine women's rights. So we need to challenge those, you see. But when you wear a cultural lens, it means that you're working directly with the communities. Because culture is what we are. So we learn from it. We learn from Matatu culture. What is Matatu culture teaching us? What's graffiti art as part of culture teaching us? What is our music teaching us? What is sharing teaching us? Because we can learn from sharing. Because it's part of the linguistic culture in our areas. So what are we learning from all these spaces, these opportunities that are provided for us? And that we must always integrate monitoring and review of our activities. And it doesn't have to be very difficult. It can be very, very simple. You know, are we making progress? No, we are not making progress. Why are we not making progress? So we monitor, we track, we improve, we review, and so forth and so on. And of course, we must build partnerships and networks so that we are better placed to succeed. I'm getting to the end of this discussion. If only my, oh yeah. So, of course, there must be recommendations for government. We are telling the government that they must provide an enabling environment for us to do our work, for arts, culture, and media to thrive. Because that's the only way we will be able to create. Otherwise, we'll spend a lot of energy fighting instead of creating. And yet we would like to create. You know, that they should implement the constitutional provisions related to human rights, gender equality, and democracy. It's their responsibility to do that because they survive on our taxes. That they must finalize those policies that are still pending. There are very many policies that are still pending. That they must build a framework for the creative sector to thrive. And that they must review policies, laws, and regulations that inhibit the growth of our sector. Personally, I believe that the responsibility of the state, the responsibility of government, is to create an enabling environment for citizens. Once that environment is created, citizens will modulate themselves. They will create wealth. They will do all those things that need to be done. The county government, creative hubs. Our young people ought to have spaces where they can go, access the internet, you know, and create. So the infrastructure of space for creativity is so important. So when they are doing urban development, we have to ask the question, where are the creative people going to be? Where are they going to be creating? Okay? It is not fair that we go to Alliance Francaise and the Goethe Institute. It's not fair. We are taxpayers. We should have spaces that are actually Kenyan-owned, that are driven by the creative sector themselves. And so we need to bring these things very close to the counties and our communities. I think that's it. That's it from me. I really want to thank you very much for bearing with me. There are a couple of slides that I skipped, precisely because it's the afternoon and I know we had lunch. So, shukran sana, jamani. Songora.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, keep on clapping, keep on clapping. Tuendelee kupiga makofi tafadhali. The moment has come now. We want to unveil the long-awaited report, courtesy of Toweza Communications, and not forgetting Forum Sieve, and under the great project or program Wajibu Wetu. Ladies and gentlemen, just before we bring the next amazing speaker, I want us to break the monotony. Of course, this is Activism Week. Hashtag Activism Challenge. And this is our final day, final session. So it's supposed to be fire. Before we unveil this important document, I want to bring on stage one fierce, strong activist, sustainable in pushing for social accountability, social change in this country, Kenya. And now he has grown from just Kenya. He is now in East Africa. Recently, he did a collab with an artist from Tanzania, an amazing piece available on YouTube. All right, and very soon, be going worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for one and only Willie Oeba. Keep on clapping, keep on clapping, keep on clapping. I want the energy, please keep on clapping, keep on clapping, keep on clapping. All right, Willie Oeba is going to speak about also the collab we just did in Tanzania, East Africa. Elbow, brother. All right, take it away, Willie Oeba.
Thank you. Are you happy to be here? You're here to be happy. You're happy to be here? Here to be happy. If you're happy to be here, say, when I say design, design, you say design. Design, design. Design, design. Hello. Hello, nakupata. Changamoto ni nyingi huku kwetu, lakini sitaacha hadi siku moja waseme paliishi Nyasubi Nacha. Shida tofauti, tajiri ana mtoto na maskini amebarikiwa na mapacha. Na iliniuma kusikia Magu Chuma ametuacha. Viongozi wetu ni maluza aluminium, si baada ya kukopa wana steel. Huku kwetu life ni real. Zile vitu zote nyinyi mnasikia, si tumeona. Nasikia babu kule Loliondo aliponya watu, lakini ugonjwa wa pesa si yeye mwenyewe alishindwa kujiponya. Pole mama. Sasa nafanya usanii, ulidhani umaskini utatolewa na kusoma. Nashinda njaa nikikutana na mafans, angalau nakula kona. Vijana wana kazi, but believe me, wako na bidii. Nairobi kuna maskwota na baba wa taifa hayati analala CBD. Huku kwetu hii issue ni major. Hii industry inabebwa na wasanii wana content. Huko nasikia ngoma itambi kama mjataja Wema Sepetu na Zari. Wasanii Mbezi Beach mnaenjoy chai ya 500 na mama nyumbani ana sukari. Kwete, changamoto ni ile ile. Siasa ni chuki na uongo kwa umbali. Oi, usijali. Pia huku hatuna upinzani. Official opposition iko Twitter. Kumbe hivyo ndio Harambee usikia. Tukicheza na TZ tuna lose. Wanyama tu ndio victor. Sijui huko mpango ni gani, lakini huku mahasla wako na mshahara zaidi ya mita. Because all racists are colorblind. Yes. Including all the women that I date. They see I'm dark, but want to see my true colors. But today I will teach you all the art of color. Well, you see this? This is black. But this is white. Out I'm dark, but in I'm bright. They call me lightweight, but my words are heavy. Don't come out lightly. They discriminate me of my skin tone. Now that I speak the truth, they even hate my voice tone. Even these short people look down upon me. I wonder how tall are the things they look up to. But our grandparents also sleeping at the same time. Martin Luther had a dream, but their dreams were carried away by bed bugs. So unlike Martin Luther, will I close my eyes to have a dream? That way I can see the future. Because I think my hands are much bigger to carry more than the future holds for you all. So you can all have my hands to hold your thoughts. Now that you have my hands, I hold nothing against you except this mic. So talk, mic, talk. Tell them the sky is no limit because you have also moonwalked. Jackson, that this life ain't punching you harder, for in either weather, either June or Mayweather, none can pack you because you can stand rock hard than Dwayne Johnson. Tyson, tell them that when you dunk the ball high, the only thing that stops coming you back is gravity, but it doesn't hold you. Talk, Mike, talk. Tell them the inverse of Formula 1 is one formula: practice beats talent. Because, well, maybe if the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks and Malcolm X weren't black, they would still be alive. If Rosa Parks was a black woman, wasn't a black woman, she wouldn't need to sit for her rights. She will stand like the rest of them did. Now she was treated like a defeated congressman who refused to give up a seat. Charges sitting on whatever she should ever stand for, and that's her rights. So tell the residents of Montegeria, Alabama to get in the bus and board this plane of black thought as a moment of silence for the black woman who's laid in state honor at the Capitol Rotunda. Well, because if this ain't black thought, then I wouldn't need BET to listen to Talib Kweli. Can I get a church from the congregation? Because I'm what the future holds. Slaves, I'm an atomic goal. The future's microscopic, though it is diatomic. So hopefully I'm immortal when I never need a mortician. All my thought is black. Quali on the track. My reflection is eternal even if the mirror cracks. So I wear no watch because I ain't got no time. Solar system, this is astronomy, not a rhyme. But the struggle is real. So this peace is that Vietnam fight that Muhammad Ali refused to fight on grounds. Fighting that white man was not boxing the actual sense of racism. It needed a fight bigger than the four corners of that boxing ring. Yes, this is that Hemington 760 3006 bullet killer that dropped Luther but couldn't curtail his dream to fruition. So in this piece is that 1,000 word that captions the picture Peter Carter couldn't get on the plight of that African boy. This is Abiba Bekele's assurance that that black child could run his world though barefoot. So I'm a slave with an empire state of mind which makes me a king to some. Now the intensity of this piece has made me change my name from Willie because now I am done. So ukiwa on stage, fanya chenye utafanya lakini usitense. Sema chenye utasema lakini usichanganye present na past tense. Iite kenye utaita lakini si spoken word when present continuous tense. Kama bado huja notice hakuna full stop at the end of the sentence. There is word at the beginning, end, in the middle of the sentence. Omnipresent God is word. You don't have to invite him here, you are in his presence. For all the lines I killed in this piece, moment of silence, ironic. Ukicommit murder utakuwa charged na life sentence. Thank you.
A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Willie Oheba.
Yes.
You don't stop amazing people. Man, that was fire.
Thank you.
That's a new piece, man.
Yeah, that's a new piece. So the other one is featuring an artist from TZ. He's a spoken word artist, one of the biggest hip hop artists in East Africa. He goes by the name Nacha.
All right.
He's also an activist.
Aha.
Yeah, so the video will be dropping in December. And then the other piece is called Black Thoughts.
All right.
Black Legends.
All right.
Yes.
All right, man. You're moving the rest of the world.
Thank you.
How do you feel?
It feels nice to express myself. As I said, what I do is express myself, then people call that poetry. And in the process, amplifying voices and working with other artists and making other artists realize they can do spoken word and they can be sustainable and changing lives through the process, that is something.
Before you go to your collabo piece with Nacha.
Yeah.
Connecting with this piece, this new piece now. I've heard you have mentioned very big names, legends, Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X.
Yeah.
What is the connection, man?
So I did this piece during Black History Month. That is February. So it's called Black Thought. So it is seeking to celebrate the black legends for what they've done.
All the black legends in the house, a round of applause. Are you not a black legend? Some noise, All right.
Yeah, actually, you realize Rosa Parks was the only human in the world who sat for her rights. She didn't stand for her rights. Yeah.
She sat.
She sat for her rights. And she was the first black woman to lay in state honor at the Capitol Rotunda. Yeah. So I think, our history is there was a conversation that was here in the morning, and people were asking, why doesn't the government empower the youths? The government cannot do that, cannot empower us economically, because the main motive is to keep us poor so that they buy us cheap. You get? And our history, for lack of a better word, is mutilated. And one of our roles as artists, as spoken word artists, as poets, as musicians, as creatives, as great people, even what the prof was doing here, also is to preserve our history as a glimpse of what might happen in the future. So the main motive for that piece, Black Thought, is to empower black men and women, the fact that we are not where we used to be. So it's a process. And part of it is what we are doing here right now. Yeah, because the intention is to spark the mind that will change the world. So we are setting the agenda. Pole pole, we will get there. The reason why we are doing this, maybe it's not us who will benefit, but when we have a revolution of the mindset, it comes slowly, but we will surely get there. Years back, we could not do what we are doing right now, but we have set the agenda. And we keep on. We keep the conversation going. We sure will get there.
Oeba,
Yes,
what an honest answer.
please.
Are you aspiring to be a philosopher?
I am a full-time expressionist. So, as a philosopher, well and good.
All right, well done, well done, well done,
Thank
Oeba.
you.
Now, as we are going to the bottom of this, you've seen the presentation here, Jukumu report. Professor was here, he did a very good presentation.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen,
Analysis.
clap for the professor.
All right.
Yeah.
As an artist, did you see any in the report?
Yes, I did. I saw myself everywhere.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Everywhere in the report.
More elaboration on that?
Yeah, we've been working with the Wajibwetu program.
Oh, yes.
Right from Nakuru. Shout out to Forum CIV.
All right, a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Empowering creatives from the grassroots. We have people who come from Kisumu, Mombasa. So activism is not a Nairobi affair.
Oh, yes.
It's everywhere, yeah? And while the prof was presenting the Jukumu report, I saw myself everywhere, yeah? Not me as Willie Oeba as a spoken word artist, but as a creative.
All right.
Yeah, I saw musicians, I saw creative artists, I saw, and the good thing with the presentation is most of these problems are a policy issue.
All right.
Yeah, and it also addresses that. So it is long term, it is sustainable. What I was looking for is a sustainability.
All right.
And as he was presenting, I saw that the Wajibwetu program is heavily sustainable. Yeah.
Creativity beyond
Entertainment.
entertainment.
Yeah.
Are you an example?
You know, previously, artists, poets, musicians were curtain raisers to such events.
Oh, yes.
Yeah? But now we are main acts. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the organizers of this event. And that shows, it really goes a long way. Unajua kitambo tulikuwa tuna perform, ndio sasa wanasema wacheni tuombe event ianze. Yes. Hiyo ni pre-curtain raiser, you know. And the challenge was getting people to see you as not just an entertainer, but a reflection of the society, but a leader, someone who can give direction, you know. And it gets in the process because we say you don't do to become, you become to do. You don't write good pieces to become a good poet. Good poets write good pieces.
All right.
So even to get at that stage whereby you can write a piece and it's beyond just entertainment, it really takes time. Because art, I'll be particular to spoken word, it's the art of what you say, but most importantly, how you say it.
All right.
You get? So you have to talk about serious issues, but you relay them in a way that people can sit down and conceptualize and decode that message. You have to decode that message in a language that people can receive it. Yeah? So it takes time. It's a process. And to all the artists who are here, don't beat yourself. It really takes time. And there's beauty in the process.
However, we still have entities, organizations, development partners that still don't believe in arts.
Yeah.
They still treat artists as content risers, entertainers, just by the way. And they're the first people, you know, when they have the serious program, it reaches a time they start looking at their watches and start asking MC,
Time up.
time imeisha, tutatoa nini hapa sasa? The first thing they omit from the program is an artist.
Yes, and that really happens in government events.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We also have civil society events. It's happening.
Yeah.
Only very few have embraced like Forum C.
True.
Where art is an agenda, my friend. If you omit an artist, becomes a problem.
True. And when the chief guest akifika, program in a change.
In a change.
Yeah. But you know, Forum C and is a it's called a trailblazer.
All right.
Yeah. So even with that, we are still setting the agenda.
All right.
You get? And they will emulate, and my hope is that they will follow, because we said an artist is not just the reflection of the society. We want to stand at a point whereby an artist is a leader. Yeah? And what Forum Civ is doing is setting the agenda, and Forum Civ is leading from the front.
All right.
So the other organizations will follow and see this is working. Yeah.
You believe the organization have started to see sense?
Yeah.
They're seeing sense?
They're seeing sense.
The entire COVID period,
They're seeing sense.
we only see events. There's no COVID in Forum Civ. I don't know applause.
The ground is shaking.
We're still doing impacting communities, right?
True.
So how do we connect now our activists here? You know, with the big names, Malcolm X, do we see examples in our activism work we do here?
Yeah, we see examples, very huge examples in our big or small ways.
Yes.
So when I was doing this piece,
let us do some shout out, you know, if there are examples, man, we inspire people here. All right.
Yeah, shout out to Anthem Republic.
All right, round of applause, Anthem Republic. More fire, yes.
Javan is
Javan, Makofi, tafadhali. Let us keep on clapping.
Apesi.
Apesi, yo. Keep on clapping, please.
Mufasa.
Mufasa, keep on clapping,
Teardrops.
please. Teardrops.
Poet Ben 3.
Keep on clapping,
There's
keep on
so
clapping.
many, so
All
many.
right.
And you know the beauty of
Not
that.
forgetting Oeba, please keep on clapping.
Thank you. You know the beauty of this is when I was doing this piece with Nacha,
Yeah.
so there were so many lines that were there initially that are not there in that piece because he
So
did
speaking
from
of nature, because you're talking of stuff that you have not listened to, I
Yeah.
don't know what my time is telling me.
Okay.
We have a bit of like 2 minutes. Can
that
you
is
do
enough.
that piece with nature?
I have done it
Ladies
already.
and gentlemen,
I have done it.
what time?
I did 2 pieces.
You did 2 pieces,
Yeah.
back to back.
Yeah.
You are fired. All right. I was supposed to introduce that piece, you know. The East African piece, you know, it's not a Kenyan piece. I was to introduce it the best way possible.
There's always a next time.
Okay, no problem. But we just want some lyrics.
Some lyrics.
Some few words from that piece.
Yeah.
right.
There's a line I say, huku mfumo ni ule ule.
All right.
Viongozi tofauti lakini mfumo ni ule ule tangu enzi za mzee Fursa. Mwinyi. Kujifanya shida zenyu hazipo ndo inakula kwenyu. Wajinga ni nyinyi. So kwa hiyo piece, like he's telling us how we are stupid as Kenyans.
Yes.
And I'm also telling them wao wanajifanya shida zao hazipo. Like COVID, like what the prof said, denying existence of a community.
Challenge, okay.
I that community is not there.
All right.
You get. And we really had to work on that piece because kwa side yake alikuwa anasema big piece ikitoka mimi nitatiwa ndani.
Atafungwa.
Alikuwa anaogopa sana. Mpaka lines zingine namwambia hii hata iko nini? Aniambia unajua huku si kama kwenyu huko. You get. So we as artists in Kenya, we have, like the prof said, artistic freedom is enshrined in the Constitution, freedom of expression.
Let us appreciate
You
the
can
milestones
create.
you have There's a milestones we have as Kenyans.
Yeah.
All right.
Out there in Tanzania, there's an artist, anaitwa Roma Mkatholiki. He created a piece, and then Alihav could go to the United States till now.
All right.
Yeah.
A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. A round of applause. As Willow Ever is exiting the stage, I hereby now call upon a gentleman from Kisumu Pasei, Stephen Okwani. Please step up on stage. Makofi wake tafadhali. Keep on clapping, keep on clapping. We have had this amazing report here presented by Daktari. So now as a creative, as director of the organization that's worked under Wajibu Wetu, yeah? And the Jukumu report, we want your reflection as a creative arts organization that's been very active with the Wajibu Wetu program. Stephen Okwani, take it away.
Thank you very much, MC001. My name is Stephen Okwani. I work with Talent Africa. We are based in Kisumu, and we're actually one of the partners under the Wajibu Wetu program. And we've worked with the Wajibu Wetu program for, this actually should be the 3rd year. And my reflections on the report, particularly on the report, is that we, as institutions, we do implement different programs. But then when it comes to programs that are expressively artistic, there's always been a challenge when we have consultant engagement. For example, an institution like Forum Civ can pre-qualify a consultant to come and do an evaluation.
All right.
To just come and see and track results. And for a long time, we've seen how fluid art is. And the challenge has always been, at what point do we measure the impact of art? So most consultants will come in, of course we know the traditional consultants will come in to ask you how many people, the numbers. It's much more of quantitative in terms of results. It's like biomedical programming where you talk about numbers, how many people came and accessed services. But you know, art speaks to the software part of development.
All right.
About attitudes, about perceptions, about understandings, about narrative change around storytelling. So in terms of quantifying results that we've seen today, I must applaud to Weza Communication for the kind of
work. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. A round of applause.
Because if it had to be a traditional kind of consultant, then right now we could be seeing graphical interpretations of results. And we could be talking about how many roads have been built. We could be talking about how many hospitals have been renovated. We could be talking about how many young people attend public participation.
All right.
But this kind of result mapping is an enabler for creative collectives and formations to do works that speak much more into software development, into change processes that appeal to the art more than the mind. Because so many times we do programming that speak to the mind, whereas after this conference, when we leave here, you're bound to forget. But art speaks to the art, and change does not come overnight. It's a progressive process. So we thank you very much, and we want to appreciate Forum Civ for enabling Weza to do this kind of work. I will wish that the next consultants will come up with a result mapping methodologies like Weza, so that us as creative collectives are not left behind in terms of qualitative results and are just seen in terms of quantitative results. I know that, yes, art as a way of translating into quantitative.
Yeah.
Because once we appeal to the art, then we'll see so many young people attend public participation. For instance, for Talent Africa, yes, we are pronouncedly into queer organizing in Kenya. And of course, we'll talk about statistics of queer persons, for example, attending or accessing healthcare services within public health facilities. But that then is as a result of a process of storytelling of lived realities. And we can tell lived realities through graphical interpretations. But we can tell lived realities through documentation, through sitting in front of a camera and speaking. Or we can talk about it in Activism. We can write, we can draw, the graffitis, we can express, because art is a form of expression. So we can express them, and these are results. To us, these are results. To us, these are results. If it was PricewaterhouseCoopers, for instance, doing this kind of process, then we could have been omitted out as jokers within programming. We could have been seen as others within the programming space. So once again, as I step down this stage, I want to appreciate you so much, Rosa Communication,
How are you
for
stepping
this
down?
kind of work that you've
Who
done.
has given you an opportunity to step down?
You know, we live in a democratic world, and just like I said before, I'm not a conformist. So when I decide to step down, I step down.
I invited you and I have to release you. It is order from above. So Stephen Okwanyi,
Yes.
following the report now,
Yes.
as Talanta Africa,
Yes.
maybe just share a little bit of the kind of milestone that I've gathered under the Wajibu Wetu program. Before you know, you were doing amazing work, maybe with other partners. So what can it attribute in connection to Wajibu Wetu program as an organization, as an entity?
So before we got into Wajibu Wetu, we were performing arts.
Others,
We were performing.
entertainers.
Yeah, we were just performing. We could be called to do climate, a piece on climate. And you know how we sit in a vehicle going to attend and then unasema we ni baba, we ni mama, we ni mtoto, and we get a piece.
All right.
Because we are going to that festival or that space to entertain. But through participation or through collaboration with the Wajibu Wetu and with the support of Forum Sieve, we've now progressed to now start programming in arts.
All right.
So that's the difference, because right now we are now programming in arts, and of course when you program in arts, you can now draw key indicators to measure outcomes of
Alright.
those kind of initiatives that you run. So it's not been easy, because Forum Sieve has also been learning, yes, in terms of activism, but we've been working together, and we've been having sessions where we can talk, we can dialogue, as opposed to other traditional kind of partners who are conformists. They come up with log frames, and it's the log frame. There's nothing that changes. And you know, for example, the creative sector, our log frames have to be a little bit fluid, because dynamics do change. Yes.
At what level has activism, dived into the queer organizing?
Yes. So activism in queer programming. Now, one, we are using art, just like I said before, we can only tell lived realities through storytelling. And art is one of the key ingredients in narrative, in narrative change. So what we've been particular about is using art, expressive art, to really counter heteronormative and patriarchal positions of the society.
All right.
We also kind of try to like degender some of the stereotypes that have been placed there to really shrink the space of the queers in Kenya. And additionally, we know Kenya is pronouncedly misogyny, and that is something that we have to really digest to a point that now we can have spaces where queers can be equal participants, as opposed to looking at people within the sexuality lens. When we continue looking at people within the sexuality lens, then we are denying ourselves from looking at what they have to offer within a development process. So yes, art has helped us to do the storytelling bit, to really shift positions of power, to really kind of deconstruct narratives,
All right.
and to really come up with languages that humanize queer bodies and not dehumanize them. Thank you.
Okwani, what are the lessons that you pick from the Jukumu report as an entity?
Lessons that I picked, and as an institution, as Talent Africa, what we've picked that is particular to us is the aspect of research.
All right.
The aspect of research. Most of the time, artists and art collectives don't engage in research. We do art because we think we know. For example, right now, if you talk about, I know there's so many artists here, and then we say we want a skit, a 5-minute skit on let's say, child rights. Then we can do that. But we've not mapped out to understand what kind of audience
All right.
is here, that of course, and what tools can we use to really speak to the arts of the audience that we have, as opposed to speaking to the mind. Because most of the time, artists, we are socialized to speak so much to the mind more than the art.
All
so
right.
that's a very key takeaway point for us as an institution to really engage much more in research and more research.
All right.
Yes.
Moving forward, what is the future?
The future, we normally say the future is bright. I don't know to what intensity we measure it, but I think the future is creative, is innovative, is fluid. The future is uncertain. So we have to dive into that future with an open mind as artists, so that we can really tap into the opportunities that are available in that future and contribute immensely into a progressive world that is particular about provisions of human rights and not selective in terms of what rights we defend and what rights we don't defend. Because you can't say you are an activist and you speak a sexist term in a forum like this, for example.
All right. Thank you so much. Stephen Okwanyi, now you can exit the stage under my order. God bless you. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. Kipigieni makofi tafadhali. I also wish to just a bit in a minute before I bring on stage the next presenter. I want to invite Brother Evans Kasena, a creative from Mombasa. Evans Kasena, please step up. Pigeni makofi tafadhali. Evans Kasena, Kwacha Africa. Talking about creatives, a report here. Just a little bit of conversation and feedback from Evans Kasena on that report. Itakuwa vyema sana tukibalance question. Ama sivyo? Wapigieni makofi tafadhali. Evans Kasena, tabidi utumie pa sauti cha huku, kupisha huku mwisho. Keep on clapping, ladies and gentlemen. Keep on clapping. Keep on clapping. Asante sana. Evans Kasena kutoka Pwani. Tumeona ripoti hii ya jukumu. Kwa mtazamo wako kama shirika umekuwa unafanya kazi na mradi wa wajibu wetu. Je, umeona yale maneno yaliyotokana jukumu report? Je, una yapi ya kusema kuhusiana na ripoti hiyo?
Mimi nafikiri ripoti yenyewe ni ripoti nzuri, na nafikiri nitaongezea tu kama kwa bwana nani vile alivyosema, ni kwamba wajua wakati tukifanya na wajibu wetu tulichukuliwa tukiwa mbali sana.
Alright.
Our concept, our thinking, the way we used to do theater, it was very different. Na nafikiri hata wewe mwenyewe wakumbuka wakati huo ni kwamba Manyata ilikuwa ni kudansi tu. Hiyo ndio ilikuwa theater tunajua. Kwacha performing arts, stage, nini hizo vitu zote. Alafu pia tulikuwa tukichukuliwa watu wa kuwekwa stage. Kama kuna kamkutano kwa mzee wa mtaa, unawekwa pale uchekeshe watu, wale vijana wa kuchekesha. There was no like engagement kwamba kile kitu unafanya kilikuwa kitu muhimu. But once we started working with Forum Civ in terms of engagement on the issues of arts, nafikiri imetusaidia sana kwa sababu imepanua akili zetu. Tumeona art is not about what we used to do alone, but also is something big. Na pia imetusaidia kufikiria zaidi, kuwa more creative. Even now in these platforms tumekuwa sisi ndio wenyeji, si kwamba sisi ni watu wa kualikwa, sisi ndio tunaalika watu waje waone what we are doing.
All right.
Yes.
Maybe the lesson that you have seen in terms of what you want to work on kutokana na ripoti hii. Je, ni masomo gani umejifunza ambao pengine yalikuwa na mushkil kidogo, ni changamoto ambazo ungependa kuchukua kwenda mbele?
Nafikiri ripoti yenyewe imekuwa na uwazi wa kwamba sahihi pale tumefika ni kwamba kuna uwezesho fulani ambao ungehitajika ili watu wazidi kuexpand ideas na wafikie pale mahali tunafikia. Kwa sababu tukiangalia tunaweza communication, I think they have come to rescue us from what we didn't know exactly what was happening in this industry. So pale imefika ni kwamba the support of the government, the support of development partners is really wanting in this stage. Kwa sababu gani? Watu chukue watupeleke to the next stage, kwa sababu art imekuwa ndio kitu peke yake ambacho cheza mfikia mtu hata jikoni. Si lazima uite mtu kwa uwanja uje umwambie kitu. Unaweza tumia hii sanaa, mtu anapika na akasikia nyimbo inaimba na akawa anapika na anapata elimu. Bora kuimba kwenyewe kuwe kuna mwelekeo.
Tunaelekea mbele katika uchaguzi Evans Kasena.
Yes.
Tunaona vipi masuala haya kutokana na ripoti hii na tumejipanga namna gani katika uchaguzi?
Nafikiri it's a very sensitive time at this time. Na nafikiri wajibu wetu imekuwa ni program ilikuwa inaangalia youth participation in devolved government, kutumia art na kupeleka huu ujumbe. na ni masikitiko yangu kwamba wajibu wetu nafikiri by December itakuwa hatuko, but hatuko, lakini tukiangalia kwamba kuna kazi ngumu zaidi ambayo inakuja, ambayo ingetaka vijana waletwe pamoja.
Nataka na wajibu wetu wewe endelea.
Yeah, that is the right time.
Sasa ndio kuna wajibu
vizuri.
Yeah,
sasa sasa ndio wajibu
kuna wajibu sasa.
Yes.
Na jukumu juu yake.
So I think for political ninio pale mahali tuko sahihi, tuko katika hali ambayo sahihi tunatakikana tulete vijana on board through art. Na ni kwa sababu ni lazima tu engage youth. Tukiangalia even the rates of young people registering for voters iko down. Na iko chini kwa sababu nobody is engaging the youth at this time. It's the government, IBC wameweka hizo vitu zao vijijini, but unaweka kiti hapa na watu wako mtaani. Wangekuwa na register watu mpaka maskani wapi mambo kama haya. Kwa hivyo there's a lot of work to be done. Na kwa sababu pia tunatakana kama vijana tuwe katika conversation ya politics. Tusiseme, because sometimes we have this language ya kuwa wajua sisi ni civil society, ukiongea sana baadaye utakuja fungiwa, you know, but I think it's very important for us to raise our voices na kuongea kile ambacho na kuangalia space, where are the youth spaces within the political parties. Usiogope kuwa katika political party. If you get a space for a young person, please jiingize hapo ndani, chukua hiyo space, move nayo.
All right. Thank you Evans Kasena. Pigieni makofi tafadhali kutoka Pwani, Evans Kasena, Kwacha Africa. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, as always we embrace gender equality in this space, and of course I want to welcome on stage again another great leader from Wajir, doing amazing work in community radio, Wajir Community Radio, a powerful voice in particular region. Dada mzito sana, mpigieni makofi. Dada Halima bahali yake. Salamu alaikum. Welcome. Keep on clapping, please. Keep on clapping. Keep on clapping. That's how we greet each other. Halima, mama vipi? Nigusie hilo introduction. That's how we greet each other. Halima, karibu sana. Karibu Halima.
Shukran.
Aha. Sasa dada Halima, umekuwa hapa, umeangalia ripoti. I was looking at you when the professor was presenting here, and I saw you nodding, you know. Nodding, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You almost clapped. Yeah, yeah. What was kind of inspiring you to do that?
Thank you very much. There was a lot that was really inspiring me in Jukumu Wetu launch. And you know, media is very powerful.
All right.
Social change in terms of information sharing. And we usually say media, the role of media is only three: informing, educating, and entertaining. So the entertainment part is art and music. But for us as a wajibu wetu, when I was listening to Prof, it was like he was just explaining Wajir Community Radio and the role we are playing in empowering pastoralist community for social change. That is why I was nodding throughout. It really touched my heart. And Wajibu Wetu, they have really given us the platform. If it were not for Wajibu Wetu program, wouldn't have been here today.
Oh, yes.
And having interaction with the different partners who are really implementing Wajibu Wetu program. For us, we usually call it Hilkena in Somali language. So Hilkena is just Wajibu Wetu in Swahili. And we have been reaching to unreached rural villages, whereby we were taking the radio so that they can have social dialogue and interact with the duty bearers. This was the marvelous project we have ever seen in Wajir.
Round of applause, gentlemen. Round of applause.
Imagine calling the governor to be put accountable where thousands of the residents of Wajir were seated. It has never happened.
It has never happened.
It has never happened. And to date, as I was sitting here this morning, I've received almost 5 calls requesting for radio program under Wajibu Wetu.
All right. A round of applause, gentlemen. That is feedback from the community. Now looking at the report in general.
Yes.
Wajir Radio.
Yes.
What are the lessons that you have picked?
The lessons I've picked, one is to have more partners in place.
All right.
So that we can all move in the same direction instead of duplicating the same activity that we are implementing. The other thing that I've learned is with all the efforts we have, we can bring change within our society.
All right.
And the change is within us. And come 2022, as have I said this morning, that we are in a patriarchal society. A society that has never given women leadership in northern Kenya. You can just imagine. We get aspirant, but immediately they show interest for vying for any post, the list being the MCA. The lady will be called. Hi, Dada. Who is the aspirant for the gubernatorial position?
All right.
He's from your community. You are a woman. Can you step down? Just imagine.
You step down.
To step down because your own clan is vying for gubernatorial position or senatorial. That is how women are taken in northern Kenya. No one is ready to vote for them. But come 2022, we are saying women should appear in all ballot boxes, whether we win or not.
All right. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Before you step down, mentioning about the issue of women being forced to step down, there's another challenge that we see from Wajir and other eastern parts, the issue of clan.
And negotiated democracy.
All right, negotiated democracy. Yes. How do we come out of that and ensure we get credible leaders?
Thank you. Negotiated democracy was just heard from northern Kenya after devolution, whereby different clans come together and decide who is supposed to go for gubernatorial, Clan A, senatorial position, Clan B, women rep, Clan C. Then for women, we are just confined to women position, women representative
position only.
Position only. For the other positions, we are not supposed to vie because now the negotiated democracy is really barring us from there. The other thing that came out after devolution was a system that has never existed in northern Kenya.
All right.
You will hear Sultanate system. We have never had. It used to exist in Somalia. Sultanate, whereby each clan will come up with their council of elders, and there's no woman represented in those council of elders. Whoa. That is why we are knocked down. So now what we are targeting is to penetrate into those council of elders who are only male-dominated, and we will tell them that, why did you give birth to girls? Why did you educate your girls if you are not giving them opportunity? So that is the platform currently we are working on, and use it so that women can be given position and opportunity come 2022.
Isn't it not tough and dangerous?
It is tough, but it is better than nothing, and we need to start the discussion.
All right.
We believe where we were 5 years ago is not where we are currently, and if we start the discussion currently, come 2027, who knows, we'll produce all the positions to be women.
Including the governor.
Including the governor.
Hallelujah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Halima.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Asante Sana. Ladies and gentlemen, just about now, sitaki kuongeza mambo mengine tena hapa. Sija nikafukuzwa hapa jukwani. Now I take this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, so that we can welcome the program manager, Forum Civ, program manager, wajibu wetu, Forum Civ Hub. Vijeni makofi tafadhali. Madam Catherine Hamali. Keep on clapping, keep on clapping, keep on clapping. One and only strength of a woman. Yes, keep on clapping, please, keep on clapping, please. Keep on clapping, please, keep on clapping. Keep on clapping. Of course, the professor himself is coming on stage to ensure that we do this thing in the best way possible. Professor, keep on clapping. Keep on clapping, Professor. Keep on clapping. All right.
Thank you, thank you. Let me just also bring my sister. She cannot just walk alone. Si lazima tuje pamoja, sio? So, Catherine, welcome, 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 welcome. So, do you want? We are unveiling, but you call.
Okay. Keep on clapping. I think it's that time to unveil the report. I think before we unveil, I'll just want to call Jackson Obare, and then I'll give my remarks. Regional manager, unajua wanasema kuna na ranking order, so you have to. We'll unveil the report, and then I'll give some small remarks, and then we close the event. I know it's been a busy 3 days, and you are exhausted. So, Prof, I don't know whether there'll be a choir singing when we unveil, or.
I think they can be doing what they need to do.
Keep on clapping, please. Smiling face, keep on clapping. That's why we are here.
Okay, so.
A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Piga makofi. Wapi nduru kelele wa jukumu.
So,
all right.
Here we go. It's Jukumu series. I think this is a dream come true from where I sit. I'll talk a bit about the journey, how it began. But I think I want to allow our hub manager, our regional manager, to now officially, hakuna keki, so tunaweza ikata kama keki, unveil it. And then speak a bit about, then I'll speak about it, and then Jackson will close the meeting.
All right.
Yes.
Sanitizer, please.
It's very beautiful.
Keep on clapping, ladies and gentlemen. Keep on clapping, please. Keep on clapping. Take a very good photo of this. Double tap. Hashtag Activism week. Tafadhali, keep on clapping, jamani. Namna hiyo.
Thank you so much, Catherine. And now we want to do a very simple exercise. And thanking Professor for a wonderful job well done to produce this kind of report that is going to be informative for the creative sector as we all endeavor to transform this country in a positive way. And with that, we want to officially launch this report so that we can also hear shouts, acclamations of this report. This report is officially launched. Congratulations.
Keep on clapping. Keep on clapping. All right. Keep on clapping.
Thank you. So thank you so much. You can sit, and I want to take this opportunity back to Catherine. Catherine.
Okay, thank you so much. It's a beautiful report. And I don't know what to say. I think when I listened to the testimonies from the partners, when I listened to Prof presenting, for me, it's a dream come true. I think it's one of the things that we've worked closely in the Wajibu Wetu program. And for the partners in this room, I think you recall, I think it was 2019, early 2019, when we were trying now to bring Twaweza on board to work on this project. The reason why we sat and thought about bringing Twaweza was that we kept speaking to ourselves and saying that as Forum C, we knew that our niche was working with the creatives, that we were giving creatives the opportunity, but then we had not documented anything. So we were speaking to ourselves. And just like Okwanyi had spoken, is that when we did our first evaluation for phase 1, the consultant we worked with did not understand our work. So when they brought the report, they were like, what is this? I went to the field, nothing is going on. There are no indicators, there's nothing. But we said, but there's a lot of work is going on. So we took it upon ourselves and said, okay, how do we even make it different? How do we sell ourselves so that the creatives is our niche? So I remember when we sat in that meeting, and then after every partner, because when Forum Civ does grant making and when we invite partners, we ask you to come and pitch your ideas, those of you who know, and those who probably want to partner with us in the future. We don't just handpick you. You come, you pitch your ideas, you say what you're going to do. So when Twaweza was, I think, the last partner, we had 15 partners in the room, and Twaweza was the last partner to present. And then after that, the partners were asking, so what are they exactly going to do? Because we'll be evaluating our own work. So what is Twaweza exactly doing? Are they a consultant? Who are they? And I hope today you've gotten the answer. I pray that today you've seen the answer that you have received, because it was very important for us to document the work that you are doing. It was very important for us to show that there is opportunity in working with the creatives, that it's very possible to invest in the creatives and see change. So when we walked the journey, and I remember sitting down with Prof and the team in Forum Civ a number of times, and even him was saying, okay, this is nice, like this, we've never thought of this. And then I said, let's partner. So I'm happy that we made a good choice. So congratulations to the Taweza team for the good work. So I think what I want to continue saying today is that within Forum Civ and the Wajibu Wetu program, one of the things that we set out to do since 2015 was to be able to provide opportunities to still defend democracy, to promote human rights and gender equality, but using non-conventional ways. So working with the creatives was important. And as someone said, I think many years ago, I was working in a health program in South Nyanza, and we were doing a program on HIV. And yes, the artists were there, but they were just singing about Ukimwi inaua. So they'll come in the middle, sing, 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 go home. Then we go to schools, they present, and then we present the statistics. But I'm happy about what has happened today. So I think to the Wajibu Wetu partners, my hope is that this report today has validated your work. It has confirmed that you are not crazy. Because there are days we would sit in the meeting with the conventional partners. Because again, within Wajibu Wetu, we have the non-conventional and conventional partners. So sometimes when putting you together in the room, it was very difficult. Because you can imagine a room where you are sitting, and then you have Ian with Mufasa, and then you have somebody else. I don't want to mention names. It was very difficult to dialogue and to see that there's also a lot of good ideas and great minds in the creatives. So I think, for me, I hope that it has validated your work. Through this report, you've been able to see that you've been able to influence communities. I believe you've been able to see that your work has created a lot of impact in the community. I think through your work, because this is a documentation, as Prof was saying, it is not an evaluation. We were just documenting your work. So the next step that we are going to do is pick this report. Now we can knock doors with it and say that it is possible to invest in the creatives and see results. So I also hope that this report, again, to the partners, Wajibu Wetu partners, that it also gives you a chance then to be able to build those networks in the communities, because you can still be able to dialogue with the right holders and with the duty bearers. And again, to the stakeholders, those that who doubted what we are doing maybe and thought even Forum Civ was kind of lost in terms of investing in the creatives, I hope that this report builds a body of knowledge that they can be able to see and see that it's actually worth the time to invest in the creatives, that there's change, that using art and culture, you can actually generate discussion for social change, that art is not only for entertainment. And I know here in this room there are testimonies of partners who have received offers. People are knocking your doors to say, how do you work? So I think for us as Wajibu Wetu and as Forum Civ, we are happy that we've been able to take that risk, and we are happy to see the growth that is happening in your organizations. As Kasena said, maybe the program is coming to an end, but the ideas, the minds, the strategies, the approaches are not changing. So you can only do better, you can grow. So whether there's no Wajibu Wetu or Forum Civ is not there, I hope that the ideas are going to grow. And again, to the development partners, like Prof has said, and this is just a special mention again to the Swedish Embassy, for really investing in the creatives, because they trusted us. So I'm hoping that, again, through this report, when we knock the doors, that we can be able then to showcase that it is worth investing in the creative sector, that it's possible to see very good results. And of course, to the government, we've called it all that let's have an enabling environment. So I'm really, really happy today as a program manager for Wajibu Wetu, and I'm looking forward for very great possibilities. And I believe that this is not a report to go to the shelves. And again, as Forum Civ and Wajibu Wetu, we are also a learning organization. Through this, we've also learned. One of the key things I think we've learned in the life of Wajibu Wetu is that how do we showcase results? Because already we have a creative way of programming, but we are still journeying in terms of a creative way of evaluating and showcasing results. Because creative is about experiences. It's about emotions. It's about what you feel. So like when I listen to Oeba, and then I do like this, can you measure how I'm feeling? Like, can you measure whether I am 30%? And then when I listen to him the third time, because I've followed him for like the last 1 year since we met, can you tell if now Catherine is 100%? after listening to Oeba for 1 year. We can't. So we are trying to find how we can balance that qualitative bit. And again, lastly, I'm so happy about the growth we have seen in individuals. So besides partner organizations, if you've journeyed with us, I think within Wajibu Wetu and in this now Jukumu series, there has been growth in people. So my challenge to you is that where you have grown, whichever way you have grown, please share the knowledge, transfer it. I was so happy to see Chela. I don't know if she's still here in the room. I don't know if Chela, you are still in the room this morning, and are talking about the journey and how she took the young man, to grow them. So take up that challenge and see who else can you mentor, how else can you share the knowledge. So I'm really, really happy. As the program comes to an end, this is one of the documents that we are really going to showcase. And so take the report, go online, share the link, be proud of it, and use it for resource mobilization. It's not just for AMSIV. Go out there, knock the doors of a donor and say that there's a possibility, the creative works. Art is not just for entertainment. It is for social change. It is for lobbying. It is for creating networks. It is for just being then replicated again and again. So thank you so much. Again, thank you to the Forum CIV team. Quite a number of teams that are working in the background. Thank you to the Twaweza team. I think we had a lot of back and forth meetings with Prof and Irene and the next team. So thank you for this good work. And I'm sure we are ready for the next assignment. Asanteni.
Oh. All right, you can all step out of my stage. Thank you for listening for me carefully. Unanisikiza vizuri na hujaondoka. Now, I'll be very brief with you because you have almost unpacked everything. You are clever today. You are very clever. Yes, you can share this. Hallelujah. Keep on clapping, keep on clapping, keep on clapping. Asante sana. So who is sharing? Myself? All right.
Yes,
Madam Program Manager Wajibu Wetu.
Sema.
All right. So now, make some noise, please. All right. All right. I don't know what that means. So now, as we are seeing amazing reports like this, we have mentioned that this is a dream come true. A dream come true. We need to see more of this. And I'm looking at the participation of women in the process. Just from your own point of view, what in this can you attribute on women?
Okay, I think that's a very interesting question because I think last month I think we were talking about women groups and then we were telling them it's not enough just to tie your kanga and go and dance for the politician. Not just unajua kucheza ikifika saa ya politics. So I think for me there are great opportunities in terms of providing space for women to engage.
All right.
And we are not saying that when we promote women engagement, we are not also promoting men engagement. So I think for me there's room for women because women again have been, probably they're the ones who take more part in these creative spaces.
All right.
In different many sectors. So there's room for us to discuss gender equality, to promote that, and to be able to validate that women are greater beyond just, song and dance and being soloist, but they can actually be able to meaningfully engage.
All right.
So there's a lot of room in this report to give that opportunity for that. Because again, if you look at even the participation that was there's a whole section on gender equality and how to promote women empowerment.
All right.
I think so this report gives that opportunity for us.
All
so
right.
all is not lost in terms of both balancing and promotion of gender equality within Wajibu Wetu and having interventions that are able really to scale up women participation and also male participation.
All right.
Yes.
From where you sit, Madam Kathy, we are moving to elections.
Yes.
And we know, again, this question I've asked different speakers here. We are at a very devastating situation. People are confused. Election is around the corner. Whether we will have election 22 or not to be extended, that's still a Pandora box. We have the BBI animal that is thrown out of court. where are we going to?
I think for me, as you're saying, and I think election process, things change every day.
Oh, yes.
You wake up today, and I say that because I usually I have a young person in the house who I'm convincing to get to register as a voter.
Yeah.
And she keeps telling me, there's no reason.
Oh, yes.
So things change. Yes, the future doesn't look good because of the different political affiliations, the different things we hear every day. But the worst that we can do is to remain silent.
All right.
So I don't think we need to remain silent. We have to keep, because when we all remain silent and watch, then we are giving the politicians a chance to thrive, to form their movements, to take us east, west, they take us everywhere they go. So I think it looks like it's not very, of course we hope we have peaceful elections.
All right.
But at the same time, we know that the environment is very, very volatile. There's a lot of challenges, affiliations, people forming affiliations and all that. But as the voter card, as the ones who are holding that card, which is the power we have,
All right.
let's not keep it behind our pockets. Tuitoe, we continue working. We should not remain silent. So we have to keep forging forward because there's still hope. Tukinyamaza, then who will run this country?
All right.
Kabisa.
We are saying that we need to take up the positions to
Yes.
22. I have done a little bit of an unserious research.
Yes.
Just asking around. I see in the Lake region, a number of human rights defenders have come out, they want to go for the seats. But that's not the case in the other counties.
Yes.
Do you think that can be a solution to the problems we have?
I think if we look from the past, how we gauge it, it may not be the 100% solution.
All right.
But they still need to go for those
Oh, yes.
positions. Because if they go and they rally together and they have an open, because somebody once told me, ukishaingia huko ndani,
Mambo inakuwa mbaya.
mambo inakuanga mbaya.
Unaingia kwa
But
system.
it is better ukue huko ndani,
Aha.
kushinda ukue huko nje. Ukiangalia, then you say, I wish I had taken that chance
All right.
to go. So wherever you are, kama uko na hiyo opportunity, please take it up, go. And then use your networks. Because I always ask myself, why is it that we are able to mobilize when we are outside and use all these networks we have here? But when we get there, the game changes.
All right.
Maybe one day nikiingia huko ndani nitajua what happens. But I think let them go for it. There's still hope.
All right.
Yes.
Now back to our artists.
Yes.
From day one here, I think from the last event that we had to this event, I've been asking artists here, very powerful artists. They have a following. They understand. We have some who are very strong, like KGs, a working constitution. Almost all of them, if I ask them if they're willing to go to 22 and take up the seat, they all shy away. They say our role is just to write poems.
Hapana, nothing should stop them.
What can you tell them now? I want you to inspire them because I
Artists
get
in the room.
irritated, I get angry, more angry.
First of all, they have an equal right
Uh-huh.
to be able to go for the position.
Oh, yes.
So nothing stops them. Number two, as I said, again, just like the women do, kama unaweza andika na umesoma hiyo katiba, na ukaisoma in and out, like there's the young people I met, I think 3 weeks ago, wameichambua hata kushinda vile mimi naijua.
Yeah.
So if you know that and you know all your rights and you can write mistari about it, what stops you from going? So pia waende. And if it's difficult, find a mentor. Find somebody who can walk with you, who can mentor you, na uingie huko ndani. So, si ati hiyo nafasi si ya mtu. Hakuna mtu anazaliwanga anaambiwa atakuwa kwa politics.
Someone was telling me I'm too young.
There's nothing like young. Si uko na story ya Mombasa saa hizi uko nayo, msichana
Walai,
ameingia.
yes.
24 year old.
24 years old.
Exactly. So
All
there's no
last
age. As
county
long as
commission.
you're 18, hakuna young. So please go for it.
Wasanii
Wasanii mko.
Tunasikia hii maneno.
Hizo
Tusiwache.
mistari mnaandika, go and tell them in the floor of parliament if you can.
In fact, one thing I've realized, they have very good English.
They do.
Whoa,
And they're
the
well
pieces.
educated.
Willy Weber, the piece you just did here, my friend. Hata
And they're
wabunge-
well educated,
Wabunge
so-
wengine huko ndani hawezi ongea hiyo Kiingereza bana.
Exactly. So
Hawajui.
take up the chance. Kukiwa na chance, hata vile Kasena amesema, wanasema, there's one somebody told me an analogy of a bus.
Yeah.
That saa ingine unaingia kwa bus, zamani, for those who are my age will understand. You'll get to the bus and then, upata imejaa, hakuna kiti. Then you squeeze yourself, then unashikilia. What do you call it? As you are javing, you shika it like this. Then when the bus starts moving, you start looking for space.
Yeah.
So by the time ukifika kwenye unaenda, unajikuta uko huko katikati na umepata kiti. So when it goes like this, unasonga. Ikienda hivi, unasonga until you find yourself. But ukisimama pale, ukishika hivyo tu, umesimama kwa mlango, either utaanguka, or you'll go and get there very tired or not find a seat. So take up the space. We keep saying sit at the table, but now sit there and eat that meal. So where there's a chance, please don't shy away. When you are young, it's also good to start very young, because then you are able to to build over a long time. And lastly, again for the artists, please be consistent. I think that's my other advice. Consistency is very important.
All right.
So ukianza kuimbia human rights na democracy, then you realize, hey, we have to eat, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but just try and be consistent. So don't change, don't be the person who, I always tell some of the artists, I don't want to see you when you come for our events, you are singing for gender equality, but when I see your other music, uko nje, najiuliza, is this a person I want to be associated with?
All
so
right.
please be true to yourself and be consistent.
All right.
Thank you.
Now as we wind up.
Yes.
As we wind up, Madam Kathy, we are seeing here, there's a very big problem we have. The artists are the opposition we remain with. And kuna mistari ya Wiloweba ameongea, the opposition is on Twitter. This is the reality. We don't have an opposition in this country. Handshake killed it. We have only the activists who are writing and presenting, and those keyboard warriors on Twitter. And now we have another problem, a challenge that is depriving these youngsters to be sustainable. One is poverty. That's why they're bought by peanuts. And two, we have the world problem of mental health. It's a crisis.
It is.
I saw your status yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah. And you're trying to send a message to people. It got into me, into my heart. And I was saying, like, immediately I get an opportunity on stage, I will ask you this question. What advice can we give to the youngsters?
I think mental health is real, not only affecting the youngsters, I think it's all populations.
All right.
It cuts across. Again, the key thing is speak out.
All right.
Speak out as much as possible. Poverty, again, is real. But somebody once said poverty has not killed anyone. So if you allow it to kill, and there's also poverty in the mind and poverty of resources. So it has never killed anyone. I think once I told you, Songora, if you all told your history, you will all look and wonder, hey, how did they make it?
Right.
So I think poverty is a challenge, yes. But again, there are still opportunities. So speak out, speak to someone. I know a lot of young people lock themselves behind, their phone, because I'm a mother of a young person. I have a 20-year-old in the house, so I know what that means. But then, speak out. And you don't have to speak out to everyone. Find just one trusted person to speak out to.
All right.
But if you keep it inside, then utaumia. So that is my only message. And I kept saying, I think my status yesterday said, check on someone. If you see I'm not talking, don't say, Kathy anaringa squeeze, ameomoka, whatever it is.
Say hi.
Find me and say hi. That hi might make me open up and speak a lot of things. I know it's not easy, but again, it's not the end of the world for anything that we are facing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Asante sana. Keep on clapping, ladies and gentlemen. She steps down. Keep on clapping. Asante sana. What a wonderful way of ending this program today, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, na mmependeza jamani. Kila mtu ana kikoba. Ukifika nyumbani unakaribishwa, lakini wengi watanyang'anywa. That disclaimer, bro jitayarishe. Kama wewe ni bro jitayarishe, wewe unanyang'anywa. Roho safi, utanyang'anywa tu, hakuna story. Utabaki na vilivyo ndani peke yake, lakini ya nje umenyang'anywa. Thank you so much Twaweza for the amazing gift this evening. Of course, people will live to remember this important event. Volume 1, Jukumu Report. We were having some video here. I don't know, Irene, were we to play the video? Okay, thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, this marks the end of this event. I want us to rise onto our feet, ladies and gentlemen. DJ, before we even close the national anthem, we need to dance because we are celebrating to have volume 1 of the series Jukumu Reports, and of course that has synced into the activism work done by Wajibu Wetu, touching different partners. And of course, this is a very good document. We have a document that connects partners and Wajibu Wetu. So DJ, uko na muziki. Muziki tutaweza kucheza sote kwa pamoja. Wale wanaweza kunengua kama pwani wanengue, wale walio na makitambi kama mimi wachezeshe, wale wamezoea kucheza na kichwa pia wacheze, wale watu wa kule kwingine. Tunawaelewa DJ, paka nikupe lyrics. Keep on clapping, please. Keep on clapping. Keep on clapping. All right. Keep on. And make sure you smile while clapping, you know. Smile. Mental health is real. Please speak to your neighbor. DJ ngoma imepotea. All right then, DJ ana ngoma jamani. Kwa hivyo itabidi imepatikana. Imekosekana. DJ, you are fired. Paka Yesu arudi. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we close this amazing evening. Comrades power. Comrades power. We were told we were soldiers, so we salute. Comrades power. Comrades power. Comrades power. Forward with equality, forward. Forward with social accountability, forward. Forward with jukumu, forward. Forward for MC, forward. Forward with Wajibu Wetu, forward. Forward with everyone, forward. Forward with activism, forward. Peaceful election, forward. Hallelujah. DJ, tupatie wimbo wa taifa. Naona wewe mambo yako sasa yamekuwa feki kidogo. Tusimame wimbo tafadhali. Afrika Mashariki.
Mungu twaomba uilinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuwajibike, tuimarike, umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Give elbow to your neighbor. Give elbow to your neighbor. You can even exchange the bags if you wish. Take a selfie, please. Take a group photo outside. Asante sana. I've been your host, MC001, MC Songora. Paka wakati mwingine, tukutane palipo majaliwa. Mwenyezi Mungu awabariki, awalinde, muende safari iliyo salama. Thank you. Safi. Domba, uko sawa?